Hello, good day everyone. I am Martha Jean Saranza Inson, a third year college student taking a Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English at the University of Bohol. And now I am tasked to give you a presentation about the post-colonialism and national identity in Philippine literature in English. And with that, we'll discuss a study of how Philippine writers address the complex legacies of colonialism in their works and how they explore the idea of a Filipino national identity, most commonly the works of Jose Rizal, Carlos Bulusan, and Nick Joaquin. And now let us define first the key terms for this discussion. So we have the colonialism. We all know that it is a system of power and exploitation where one country dominates and controls another country of territory. It is often imposing its culture, language, and institutions. And we have the post-colonialism. It is a theoretical approach to studying social and cultural problems in the former colonies of Western powers such as Britain, France, USA, and Spain. And post colonial theory focuses on the relationship between the colonizers and colonized people and depicts the problems that arise after the independence of formerly colonized countries. And next, the key term national identity. It is a shared sense of belonging, culture, history, and the values that define a nation and its people. Now, Philippine literature in English has been shaped by the country's colonial history, and early period of Philippine literature in English saw imitation of Western literary forms and exploration of Philippine identity under colonial rule. And the post-colonial legacy in Philippine literature has led to a literary identity crisis, resulted in a sense of disorientation leading writers to question their cultural identity. Now, there are several Filipino writers such as Jose Rizal, Carlos Bulusan, and Nick Joaquin whose works lend themselves to a post-colonial criticism. And now, let me discuss to you first. Okay, so who is Jose Rizal? Jose Rizal is our national hero, right? And his real name is Jose Protasio Rizal Mercado y Alonso Rialonda, and he was born on the 19th day of June 1861 at Calamba, Laguna, Philippines. And his published novels is Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. He also have a published essays and poems, and he advocated for reforms against Spanish colonial rule. Now, one of his famous works was Noli Me Tangere, and it was published in the year 1887. And this novel exposing Spanish colonial abuses. Next is the El Filibusterismo. It was published the year 1891 and it is a sequel to Noli Me Tangere. And in the year 1889 to 1895, he also contributed some essays and articles to La Solidaridad. Now let's move on to a study of how Jose Rizal addressed the complex legacies of colonialism in his works and how he explored the idea of a Filipino national identity. Well, we all know that Jose Rizal is a prominent figure of Philippine history, addressed the complex legacies of colonialism through his literary works. And one of his writings, such as Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, served as a powerful tools for social change and inspiring a generation of reformists and revolutionaries. Now, Jose Rizal's works not only exposed the corruption of Spanish rule, but also advocated for reforms that could promote critical thinking, patriotism, and a deeper comprehension of the rich historical background of the nation. Now, results of views on the impact of colonialism in Filipino creativity, industriousness, perseverance, and other virtues were keenly observed, as he believed that colonialism stopped the growth of these traits by discouraging initiative, creativity, and business. Well, Rizal's legacy continues to inspire the fight for justice, liberty, and patriotism, making him a revered national hero in the Philippines. Going next, we have our next author writer, Carlos Bulusan. Now, to give you a brief discussion about the biography of Carlos Bulusan, his real name is Carlos Sampayan Bulusan, and he was born on the 24th day of November in the year 1913 at Binalonan, Pangasinan, Philippines. And in 1930s, he joined the Filipino Labor Union, which he also celebrated as a pioneering Filipino American writer and labor activist. Now, some of his published works was of his first book was Letter from America. It was published in the year 1941, and he also have a autobiographical novel which titled America is in the Heart, and it was published in the year 1946. And he also published a short story collection titled The Laughter of My Father. It was published in the year 1944, and he also has some essay collection on becoming Filipino, and it was published in the year 1955. Right, so now I'll be discussing of how Carlos Bulusan addresses the complex legacies of colonialism in his works and how he explored the idea of a Filipino national identity. Okay, so Carlos Bulusan's literary piece or literature serves as testament to the enduring impact of colonialism in Filipino identity. And through his works, he critiques the oppressive legacy of Spanish and American colonial rule, highlighting economic exploitation, cultural imposition, and racial discrimination. And in his work, America is in the Heart, um, Bulusan's autobiographical novel, the protagonist's journey illustrates the struggles of Filipino immigrants navigating colonialism remnants. And the novel also exposes the tensions between cultural heritage and assimilation, underscoring the complexities of Filipino national identity. And through Bulusan's literature, he also challenges dominant narratives and offers counter narratives that reaffirm Filipino agency and self determination. And Carlos Bulusan's works serve as a powerful testament to the ongoing struggle for national identity and liberation. Now, moving next for our last author writer, we have Nick Joaquin. And to give you some overview about Nick Joaquin, his real name is Nicomedes Marquez Joaquin, and he was born on the 4th day of May in the year 1917 at Paco, Manila, Philippines. And Nick Joaquin, known for complex lyrical prose exploring Filipino culture, history, and identity. And Nick Joaquin also helped to shape Philippine literature, promoting national identity and cultural heritage. And some of his works was The Woman Who Had Two Novels. It was published in 1961. He also have a portrait of the artist as Filipino, and it was also published in the year 1966. He also have the Manila, My Manila, a history of for the young. It was also published in the year 1990, and Rizal in Saga, published in 1996. Now, to give you a discussion of how Nick Joaquin addresses the complex legacies of colonialism in their work and how he explored the idea of a Filipino national identity. Now, Nick Joaquin is a prominent Filipino writer. He has been known for his engagement with Filipino identity and history, often addressing the complex legacies of colonialism in his works. And his novels and essays delve into the themes of Filipino national identity and the impact of colonial conquest and the struggle of self determination. Now, in his work, The Woman Who Had Two Novels, he masterfully explores the complex legacies of colonialism and Filipino national identity. And through the protagonist named Connie Escobar's journey, he illustrates the tension between the traditional Filipino culture and Western influences, exemplifying the cultural dislocation caused by colonialism. Now, The Woman Who Had Two Novels by Nick Joaquin serves as a powerful exploration of Filipino identity, challenging dominant narratives and offering counter narratives that reaffirm Filipino agency resilience. So, to conclude, the works of Jose Rizal, Carlos Bulusan, and Nick Joaquin collectively provide a profound exploration of colonialism's impact on Filipino society and national identity. Okay, so they critique colonialism's oppressive legacy, highlighting economic exploitation, cultural imposition, and racial discrimination. They also advocate for national self determination, freedom, and independence. They also celebrate Filipino culture, traditions, and resilience. They also explore identity formation, navigating colonial heritage, and national consciousness. Okay, so once again, Rizal exposed Spanish colonial abuses on his work No Limitangere and El Filibusterismo, shaping Philippine nationalism. While Carlos Bulusan, he highlighted Filipino immigrant experiences, labor struggles, and social justice in his work America is in the Heart. Now, Nick Joaquin also explored cultural dislocation, hybridity, and national awakening in his work The Woman Who Had Two Novels. Okay, so I guess we have discussed entirely the study of how these authors, Jose Rizal, Carlos Bulusan, and Nick Joaquin, addresses the complex legacies of colonialism in their works and how they explore the idea of a Filipino national identity. So I hope you have learned something about my discussion for today and maybe see you next time. See you next time. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for viewing.